How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. A big welcome to the biggest brain in Raid Shadow Legends right now, Bront Cat Herder. You're going to come on here, Bront, right, and give me, you promised before, an honest review of where I'm at right now. We are on day 14. I'm finishing up my first 2 weeks. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, and then let's get right into this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I am Bront Cat Herder. We're a content creator. I've been talking with Fastidious actually since before he was even getting into the raid stuff. So he's been fun to get to know. And, you know, I do Twitch, I do YouTube, and I'm currently the #1 content creator in the free-to-play.
All right, Bront, and I wanted to ask you, maybe once we go through this fairly long, I would guess, account review, account coaching, you could give me an honest rating at how you think I'm doing right now, 14 days in. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so definitely go check out Bront's channel. You're posting videos constantly. You got your Catterday streams every Saturday. I've been to all of them since I've been back to Raid. They're very fun. And yeah, like, it's actually incredible because I don't watch much content, anyone that knows me, because once I'm into a game, I'm into it. I'll figure it out myself. Some things I'll be great at, some things I'll figure out and be a little worse at and then improve. But coming back to Raid, with how much that was added, I have found myself watching a lot of Bront Cat Herder, watching a lot of Cole Red. I just started watching this guy Boozer, who I suggest. But then you got to watch an OG. So I'm watching Hell Hades the other day. I DM'd you. He name dropped you in a video, a collab with other people. He name dropped you, I want to say 35 times or something like that, because you are winning his challenge. So congratulations. How does it feel to be such a success?
It's actually been a lot of fun. I don't know regardless of when this video is coming out, but I actually did film a collab with him yesterday too. So, you know, we'll be talking with him more. So it's nice. And that's kind of the fun thing too, is these raid content creators, most of us are all friends. We talk with each other in the background too. And that's why it's kind of nice to do some of these collabs with some of these guys too, which is, you know, part of why we're back here talking in your channel.
Yeah, this is already, I believe, I think if you count the stream you hopped on, this is like our 5th time together or something. We're filming one on your channel right after. That will be in the description. Go check it out. Unless this video comes first, then just wait a minute and then go check it out. Or just subscribe to Bront. We're going over the best non-void, non-starter rare heroes. So that will be a lot of fun, especially if you're doing something like free-to-play or low spend. And I gotta say, it's about time you get a collab with Hell Hades, because he's been riding on your good name for too long. He's kind of built this entire brand on your shoulders, so it's nice that he's giving back a little bit. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
right?
I told him I'd shout him out to the few people that might have not heard of him yet.
If you have time, yeah. I mean, you don't need to do charity stuff like that. But go check out Hell Hades too. If you don't know who he is, I don't know. You must not watch videos on YouTube for this game. Okay, let's begin. You guys saw, I pulled it up. I am on day 14. What I figure here, obviously I'm doing a lot of yapping as I do in my videos, but I think I'm going to be silent for huge swaths of this. So I just want to get my spiel out at the beginning. We are on day 14. Towards the end, it's day 13 for me, which always has felt weird because I started right before reset, which is in some ways nice because I got Alice a little faster, it felt like, but in some ways weird because it's like, have I been playing that long? But I guess that will even out over time. But there you go. 2 weeks. I think a great time for a check-in. In general, I think I'm doing pretty good. So I wanted to say to the viewers right now, the way I approach gacha games, and you know, I think I've proven success in a lot of games at this point, as long as you are doing efficient things and making intelligent choices, you never need to feel like you're behind. You can always have stamina lying over here in overflow that you feel like you could have used and you could have gone faster and you could be chasing Bront Cat Herder in the free-to-play challenge or something. But if you're not doing a challenge, it's not a race. The only race is to be under the energy cap and be using your energy in the right ways, or under the stamina cap and be expending that energy in the right places. So that's what I've tried to do. And please roast me when you think I've done it wrong, but I just wanted to set that up. Other thing you need to know, we've built eight champions. Rector Drath I have not used yet. I thought I was going to need her and didn't need her for the thing that we'll probably end up talking about. And that is basically it. I do have a little plan, which you can poke me and prod me about and ask me about. But aside from that, you tell me, man, what do you want to see? Where do you want to begin?
I agree with you on the where you're at too. You know, 41 is great. It's actually pretty advanced for a regular-ish player, and you're certainly not pushing this harder than any regular player might be. I mean, in fact, you're probably still doing it more than a lot of players might, because you're doing a couple hours a day. Yeah. So it's certainly worth mentioning. I mentioned that on the free-to-play stuff as well.
I think that's something people lose sight of as well. It's like, wow, you're not taking it serious. It's like, yeah, I'm not playing 6-8 hours a day, but I'm playing 3 hours a day, which I think is about as much as you could expect from a normal, right? So it's still a heavy grind, But yeah, you know, it's a different approach. But I'm just saying, hey, I'm under my energy. I'm kind of out of things to do. I'm good. We'll come back to it a little later on in the day, and repeating that.
In fact, why don't we poke at one of those that's honestly one of the more headachy points. Look at your Great Hall. So yeah, and
I may have
that's a
just
pretty
cleared
reasonable
one.
average start. Basically, yeah, you're in silver right now. You're certainly working on accuracy. Accuracy is very good. Crit damage is the other one that's very viable. You have to do the attack because there's a mission that says you do those 3 attacks. So very unfortunate because attack is probably the worst one outside of resistance to get for the early game.
Yeah.
And just for the reason for that, every champion gains benefits from HP. Every champion gains benefits from defense. Crit damage helps your nukers more than attack, and it helps all your nukers because not every nuker is going to do damage based on attack, which means attack is the least helpful stat out there. And obviously accuracy helps champions that need to land debuffs, and landing debuffs helps even the champions that can't because those debuffs will help those champions as well.
Yeah, so this is my plan. It's like I wanted a little bit in these two because basically everyone I use, except once I start using Rector Drath, she will be Force, but everyone I use is Magic and Spirit, and actually my main go-to team is very much 5 Magic heroes right now. I've got my 2 alternatives in Corrado and Sung Wukong, but this is like my little dream team. So yeah, I think this is about as well as I've done. There have been a couple moments where maybe I was at the arena cap. I think there was one moment where I didn't take a refresh of coins. I will tell you, if you want to take a peek on the arena, I despise Gold 1. I hate that I can only lose so many times. I just found that out yesterday. Someone told me on stream. I've got this juicy little defense you can see over here with my base promotion level 1 War Maiden with no gear and 1,522 battle power, attack power, team power, whatever. And I thought I would get shellacked and I could just hang out in silver, but I can't. So I actually find myself, this is a tip from Colred, often trying to take strategic losses. So maybe I can like lose 1, drop down to silver, maybe pick up 2 quick wins, then find 1 win in gold and then bounce back down. Because at some point it's just too hard out here to find wins because some of these teams are crazy.
Yeah, and that's true. Those strategic losses are going to be where you'll see the plus for how many the cross swords you're getting. You want to attack a low plus because basically that's a 20-point swing either way. So if you can gain 10, you can lose 10. If you can gain 6, you can lose 14.
Yeah.
So that's the easy loss that can drop you down significantly if you're looking for that. So
yeah, if you want to bounce between, go for the ones at the top of your list because they always order it from like the least amount of points you can win to the most. And like they're saying this is the harder team, so we're going to penalize you less. So there's 20 points on the board, so you'd only lose 8. But if you want to lose the points, which I would want to do, I'd go in here and I'd take this quick loss. I could have done the refresh, but we'll use it for the example. And it should knock me nearly out of gold, if not the whole way, because these guys will beat me. While this runs, where do you want to begin?
Well, and just one quick note too on that order, it does not order tag, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
And that order doesn't reorder because those people can then move around inside of arena afterwards. So sometimes those values can change if it's not immediately after the refresh as well. So it's certainly worth looking at the very least. But yeah, it's definitely refreshing arena is good. It's one of the weird things that once you get a team that's kind of good enough, you may want to actually, instead of pushing down to silver, push up to gold 5 because you can find the single champion wins in all the way up through gold. Pushing yourself up to gold 5, you're going to get, or even gold 4, but gold 4 and gold 5 give you 4 gold medals. The difference between gold 1 and silver 4 isn't much as far as the medals are concerned.
Yeah.
2 gold versus 3 silver, which is basically 1 bronze medal equivalent is what you're kind of talking about there.
Yeah, but is that I mean, this is my team. I mean, obviously you're going to get stronger, but like this is my team. We're talking 69 team power, right? So it's just, I mean, it's brutal out here. So for me, I think at least for now, until I've 60'd my full team, maybe I've gotten everyone full ascension, we get that Alice soul. I feel like I just got to hang out in this little wasteland that is the bottom of gold 1, which I'm assuming is a lot of defunct accounts or lazy accounts.
It really depends on how hard you want to push into arena. And I guess that's probably if you're only playing a few hours a day and not focusing on it. To push up to gold 5, you're probably going to put a real defense in, even if it's not a great defense, because at least that will mitigate a few losses. And then you're going to be refreshing every 15 minutes for a while. So it'd be like having it on your phone while you're doing something else,
Yeah.
refresh, check every 15 minutes and kind of push up. And you're going to have to do it at some point in time, probably for the health of the account. But it's probably one of these things where like you pick a day where you know you're just going to be doing something, or maybe even while you're doing a watch or stream, you know, have the raid on your phone in the background. It's like, give me a second, guys. Boom, boom, boom.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I think that is a great idea. I think maybe in a week or something, like my team stinks, right? Like maybe when I have a little bit more going on. Or you think even now?
You're probably at the edge of it right now where you could possibly do it. The problem is that because of some of the requirements of these arena missions and quests, it is actually really slow to do them in silver. Unless you could stay in silver 4, it's really slow to do them. And unfortunately, you can't stay in silver 4 because if you're doing them effectively, you're going to kick yourself out of silver 4.
Yeah, it's actually too bad they just got rid of it. But last night I did get the get 50 gold medals, so I finally pushed through that one. And I do have to remember after today I need to farm this before the Force Keep closes. But anyway, that's basically Arena. I find Arena, the TLDR, my Uugo's fast. Wukong is a cheat code, getting that huge Arena aura. So, I mean, for my level, this is pretty fast, I think, for Uugo. I outspeed almost everyone. Obviously, it's going to get really slow really quickly, but we're still early game. We got this from Wukong, and that's basically it. Cleave, he gives the extra speed we need, nuke. And it works against everyone that isn't OP.
Is Sun Wukong in Savage? Is that why he's super slow?
Sun Wukong isn't really in anything. I just have very, very limited gear. If he isn't Savage, it's unintentional. Looks like he is. This is all stuff I picked because I was using Sun Wukong for the magic keep, and I needed to get his accuracy high enough. So he's not in any proper build at all. I actually don't use him anywhere outside of the magic keep and the arena. I will say I do want to build him properly now, especially once he's 6-star. I finally was able, because the Spirit Keep was open yesterday, I was able to get him to 3 stars, which, just a shout out to the viewers, this is crazy. And he's a new character once you have this. I don't regret waiting to do it because I didn't feel like I needed it, and it was very hard to it would have been very hard to do before I was on stage 15, which, by the way, my stage 15 runs take about 10 minutes because I wasn't using heal block. I wasn't using the heal reduction, but yeah, so basically I waited till it lined up with the Spirit Keep yesterday, and I lined it up with my missions, and yeah, we got him kind of cooking. I actually could get him even higher, but I'm deciding if I want to just maybe go for Corrado. There's no real rush as I see it right now.
No speed, no crit rates. That's certainly not a good nuker build. On the other hand, for Kale, it looks like you've got some decent speed on there. You've got the crit rate is 85% is the number you're looking for on him. It doesn't hurt if you get a full 100%. But 85 is good enough for that acid rain to be hitting, and then everything else mostly hits all the time. So he's a very low investment champion, which is kind of why that's kind of nice. Alice, on the other hand, you absolutely want her to be 100% crit rate if you can manage it. That crit damage is very unfortunate, but again, she's not ascended. She's not 6-star yet. Well, she's 6-star, but she's not 6-star ascended yet. So when you ascend her, that's going to get you some extra crit damage. Getting that amulet on her is going to get more crit damage, hopefully, assuming you can find a crit damage amulet, which is a pain.
Yeah, I would say the general gist, which I think some people get and some people don't, is like, I don't have gear. We can go through it. I've been doing some dragon farming because we have the dragon tournament. I mentioned to you before we started filming, I did have to do a little extra farming because we had the clan shop resetting, and I decided I was going to buy the energy that was available. So I picked up an epic book that was there, and then I had 700 left over. So I bought 700 energy. So I put that in dragon. Maybe there's a couple juicy pieces we can see that dropped, but I'll say that's one kind of what do we call it? Like kind of like a block I've kind of hit. I'm shocked at how hard it is to get mediocre gear. Like, I'm not looking for excellent artifacts, but even just getting usable stuff, I'm blown away by how difficult it's been. I did a decent amount of event dungeon farming. I got like 4th place in that event dungeon. I didn't overdo it. Again, I don't want to be inefficient because I'm only farming 10. And then before that, we had like a dungeon divers, and I did a little bit of dragon 13. I'm on dragon 16 now if you want to see. But you can see the current dragon tournament, I'm not going insane, but I'm doing it. You know, like, where am I? I'm in 5th place. I put up over 2,000 points, and I feel like I found just about no artifacts already, which you guys might be saying, yeah, man, that's the grind. But I'm so early game. You see how bad my gear is. My standards are low as hell. And I'm still shocked at how hard it is to find anything I feel like that can improve my characters. So, like, you might be looking, 60% crit damage. I'm just thrilled that I have her crit capped with enough accuracy and she's not slow. That's basically what I'm going for, because I just don't. I can show you the gear if you have any bright ideas, but I feel like I don't have many other options if you guys look through it. So that's
probably
probably
where the next trick is on something to focus on. Actually, is how is your faction wars?
Faction Wars. I did great today because it was Sacred Order and Dark Elves. Aside from that, there's been a lot of factions that are brutal. Just don't have good stuff. Basically having to do like Lizard Men. I did like a 2-star hero, Undead Horde. This is Banshee, I think. I haven't started muling stuff around. It is something I've been trying to prioritize more the past couple days. But yeah, it's like nice when it's Kale and Alice. But otherwise, I only have so few heroes.
Well, you don't have to mule stuff around for it early on. But what you want to start looking for right now is you want to find rares that have an AoE attack.
So I think this is another thing. I don't have rares. Like I think that's something else that's shocked. I mean, I haven't summoned, to be fair, right?
Part of the problem is at some point in time you just need to start pulling ancients. And in fact, this obviously you can do the video for this. If you look at the ancient shards right now, the progressive chance, the epic and progressive is Geomancer.
Wow, I
that
didn't
may
realize
be worth
that
pulling
is worth it
right now for Geomancer, because on an early game account you can use the rares. And then as far as the other champions, Brogny's really good, Herndig's really good.
These are two of the main fusions when I played my free-to-play
series. And then
series.
the new guy, the Spirit champion at the front, he is the new faction Unity champion. He is absolutely nuts and will be really hard for you to use early, but he is unique enough that he might be interesting to go for.
Cool. So, okay, that's
Brogny's a huge carry.
That's actually a huge suggestion. So basically I've done 10 ancient pulls. It was a fat finger. I don't know how I did it. Anyone could go back and watch that stream. I probably double clicked into the portal and then I went here thinking I was defaulting to mystery shards. So I did use 10. I got Burgoth and then some like 2 rares, maybe something weird like that. Or I guess it wasn't 2 rares, 8, but some random stuff, which I should have saved it all. I used them as fodder because I knew they were fodder, but I should have at least waited till they were 5-star fodder and used them in faction wars in the meantime, wouldn't you say?
It's kind of hard early on, especially when you're going for your first or your second 6-star.
That is true.
You're pretty much almost everybody's a chicken at that point in time.
Yeah.
Now that you've got you've got 2 6-stars, you're closing in on your third.
Yeah, Tagoar.
You certainly want to start finding champions to put aside. You've got a couple of champions that are good for fusions. You definitely want to put those aside for the early fusions. At least have one of them.
And
sometimes it's because and some of them are good too. Like a War Maiden, it's nice to actually have one for the fusion, another one to have in general. I would actually recommend pulling those shards. Honestly, early in the early game, I don't bother saving shards much, if at all. So it's better off to be pulling a couple shards early to get yourself a couple of usable champions, even sacred shards. It's kind of nice to pull them for events, but the value of an epic early on can be so huge that it's not a bad idea to pull some shards. Yeah, you're not getting it. The epic is an 8% chance, but you're going to get 2 or 3 epics minimum with 33 shards.
Is that a minimum? Is there like an epic mercy that is gonna?
There is a mercy, yes.
So yeah, you can see I've got 33 ancients. There was a stream, I think you were there, where I fat fingered a 10 pull accidentally. So we've gotten 43 total, but I've basically been sitting on them. You're saying maybe it's time we pull some?
Yeah, I think that early on, honestly, for the first week or so, it's pretty much yeet every shard. And that's really a case of both it gives you extra chickens, and if you can get an epic, it can be account changing early on and give you a good direction to go. You certainly pulled a few of them. You got the Frozen Banshee there, but especially for faction wars, where I think, and that's probably one of the things I was talking about faction wars, because your gear in the forge, you can make perception gear, which is absolutely crucial for the account, but you can't do it if you're not farming faction wars, even the early stages. So simply having a rare that's got an AoE, you can throw a little bit of gear on that you can run through the forge to make more perception will transform your account. So, yeet those shards, dude. It's actually a great chance with a Geomancer boost as well.
I think not in this video, but maybe after we finish filming, you and I might do something a little fun, right? It'd be pretty crazy to get Geomancer. All right, I think we've done, this is the transition moment. Let me shut up. Tell me, take the wheel, my friend.
Yeah, it's about time. I've been waiting for him to shut up for a while, so no, it's all good. So, faction wars, and I'm not saying that you need to push faction wars like, man, I need to get 3 stars and everything. The number of stars doesn't matter early. If you can get the 3 stars, it's nice because it gets you on the track. But yeah, you've got the 1 stars for everything there. If you end up with enough Dark Elves to do the other stars, I might go back and do them once, because once you've done, you never have to deal with them again. And you use the key once, you can restart the key before it finishes. Um, and yeah, you probably can get some 3 stars with just that, because Kale's that good. But, just getting those materials to forge perception gear, even bad 4-star perception gear, is speed and accuracy for champions that you're just going to throw in faction wars and run for a while. That'll give you a good volume of gear, and a volume of gear that is at least tolerable for the set as well. So it's nice. It's one of the ways you can actually help improve your account with gear. And I think that's actually probably, you're talking about how hard it is to get gear. Finding ways to get gear outside of the standard dungeons is one of the easiest ways to progress your account. And there's actually ways to do it now with the Forge, for example.
Totally. I want to quickly show you while we're here. This is the best piece on my account. So I just want to, I've got one good thing that I'm happy with. But that's a really good tip, and definitely I've been realizing how few materials I'm getting. So maybe that's another benefit. We just get even mediocre rares going to be a lot better than the terrible commons and uncommons I've been forced to use, because some factions I literally don't have anybody.
But as far as pushing dungeons, it's nice to push dungeons when there's events for them. But I'm kind of still of the opinion, if you don't have your 5-6 stars, dungeons take second place to getting 6 stars early on. I understand the gear sucks. It sucks to not have gear for your champions, but the level of extra stats you get from going from 5-star to 6 stars is almost the equivalent of getting decent gear in the first place.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of power up in doing that. I mean, that's probably the same way in Watcher as well. So this is not something new. It's just a gotcha mechanic so getting, Karato, you can actually take a look at him quickly. So Karato is right now, what's his base attack? His base attack is 1,000. He's got 1,200 HP. Go check him out in the index, and that'll show you the 6-star extended version of him.
It's a big adds difference.
That's a 50% bonus in HP, defense, and attack. And so that's 50% more damage just from being a 6-star versus a 5-star. Plus, he gets extra crit damage from being fully ascended. It all stacks up.
It's a great shout. So maybe what do you think? So my plan was basically finish this dragon tournament, which is ending at the end of the day. Which it's the only place I've done any serious farming, and it's no extra. I'm not using any extra stamina or any extra energy, like nothing from my mail. But essentially, speed was on rate up. I'm 16, feels like the most optimal place to be farming until 20. So it just felt like a moment. But I'll tell you, I've got like no speed gear to show for it. So
yeah, my speed gear on my free to play is not great either. I have not been farming a lot of dragon though, because honestly, the dragon gear doesn't age well other than speed. The lifesteal gear falls off. A lot of the basic gear, not great. Accuracy gear is straight up inferior to perception gear, which you can farm pretty well pretty early on if you get push faction wars. So yeah, you're going to use some of this stuff early. Lifesteal can be great for a couple of champions, but there's so many other ways to boost your account. And the fact you're going to have bolster on some champions, because you're probably going to end up with bolster on at least one of your protection champions or reviver champions, if not more. You're not going to need lifesteal quite as much, because you've got the heal from Tagoar and possibly the heals from Uugo, as well as her leech as well. And even Rector, if you end up using Rector and some other stuff as too, Rector can certainly be absolutely amazing with some of her passive healing, and that heal there as well is chunky. But yeah, Faction Wars, definitely a easy thing to forget too. And in fact, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Some of those rares that we're going to talk about on my channel in the next video will actually highlight some of the cool rares you can find. But honestly, I look for a rare. Basically what I was looking for is I take a look at a rare. Oh, good, it's a rare. Does he have an AoE? Yes. If I don't have another one in that faction, he went in my vault to hold on to until that one came around. Then I get him to level 20, put maybe +4 or even +8 bottom row gear on him, speed boots preferably, just because the Faction Wars teams are slow. And that's usually enough to get to level 1, maybe level 2, maybe level 3 even, if it's a good rare. And almost no investment, because a lot of the gear you're going to throw away later, because if it's 4-star gear, you might not even recover it. You're just going to throw it away.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really good point, even with those basic ass stages.
Have you done anything in tag?
I do the things they give me every day. I mean, I have my defense set as something, terrible, so I can stay low, and then I do what they tell me to do. This is the best content in Raid Shadow Legends. It actually disappoints me that there's other content to distract me from this. So
Yeah, I totally agree. It's fun. But yeah, the bazaar there is definitely still worth looking at. You've got that energy there. That's huge. And I know you're generally trying to be efficient with that energy, but that energy then goes on a 1 week cooldown. So you're actually better off pushing to get the energy and using it as soon as possible because you're
Okay.
effectively delaying how long you're going to use it. Um, you could certainly grab that ancient shard instead if we're going to be pulling ancient shards later. But honestly, I think the energy is going to do you more good.
I gotta say that's disappointing to hear because there's no indication that's gonna happen. So I thought, oh, I'll just stack these as long as I want, and then you can just keep buying them for 1,000 a pop. That's annoying. I didn't know there was a cooldown.
Everything in there is a cooldown. The champion fragments
Cool.
are 1 day cooldown. So buying Drextar Blood Twin takes 100 days. Definitely worth buying. He's a great champion, but he's not worth buying at the cost of you getting the energy super early on. You're just pushing back a few days how you can get them. The other two champions, they're those rares. Those are part of the Broadmaw fusion. They're actually interesting to get because they're both 50 points in a champion chase. So, and the other ones are all uncommons. You can certainly farm with mystery shards. So you can get yourself, a Broadmaw pretty easily as well. And Broadmaw is another way to get points for another fusion, which we certainly were talking about it a little bit, and we cut that out so you didn't have here for 5 hours listening to us talk. He'd like to make the next fusion, so making plans to be able to get champions like that so you can fuse a Broadmaw, because Broadmaw is an infinite fusion. You can fuse him as many times as you want to. So being able to pull those up and then fusing him, that's 450 more than that points that you're getting to fuse him. You've got Morag waiting for you at some point in time. We mentioned that beforehand. You can certainly save up other fragment champions as well. All those are extra champion chase points for making a really awesome fusion, which, the Esme one is certainly not going to change your account as much as possibly the next one might, hopefully.
Yeah, basically the Esme one, she's a good champion, but with what we already have, I made the determination we're not going to be building or booking her anytime soon, and it's likely the next one could be really nice with the anniversary coming up.
Yeah, and she's not going to be good for your account for 3 to 6 months anyway, because you're going to eventually get to Hydra. In fact, I think Hydra is unlocked for you, but you can't.
Maybe I just unlocked it. No, level 45.
No, not level 45. Level 45 is still too early. It should unlock at level 60, as far as I'm concerned. I can do halfway into the second chest on my free to play that's level 55 that is one of the number one free to plays on this Hell Hades challenge. It's just way too early, and you need a lot of different champions, a lot of champions built. But yeah, Faction Wars is probably a good thing to start grinding into a little bit. Obviously, you want to push yourself. The biggest push in Clan Boss is getting yourself to be able to 3-key or 2-key Nightmare.
Right now I'm at 1-key, 1-key, 2-key. But this is it depends on the affinity. But if it's like a good affinity, it's easy.
And again, you don't have a full set of 6 stars. Once you get that full set of 6 stars, your goal is to 3-key Nightmare. Once you can 3-key Nightmare, you can start getting that ultimate chest there, and that is the first time you'll get a chance to get a sacred shard, and you'll have a good shot of getting a shard or a book. Basically, you're going to get either silver or gems or potions or the shard or brews or whatever else. Basically, it's one or the other. But with you get 4, you're going to get you could possibly miss out on a book and a shard, but it's unlikely for you to always miss out on a book and a shard both times. So you're going to get at least one or the other most of the time. And then, of course, once you push up to Ultra Nightmare, you're guaranteed to get a shard or a book with every pull. So
crazy. Is that from each chest? So when you get the double chests,
you get double chest. So
no, definitely the early game goal. If it's not clear from like anything I've done or anything anyone else has done, Bront has done, it's like you want to be a somewhat single tracked mind of how good can I make my clan boss, how fast, because that's when you're going to start getting the maximum freebies, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and that again goes back to the getting as many 6 stars as you can. So honestly, I would probably be done with Dragon at this point in time. Is there still a champion training tournament going on? I think
there is a championing training tournament. People are going crazy trying to get these fragments, it looks like. You can see it's not like I've ignored it, but
well, you don't care about the number, but those primal shard things, that's 30% of a primal shard. That doesn't suck. The chaos ores, not the worst thing to have in the world. You're not going to have a lot of mythic pieces, but you know what? You could find a really good piece that you want to re-roll in a 5-star that could be useful for you, and you can use that. You can use that on anything lower than a mythical too, so it's not that bad. The rare book is certainly always good to have, and champion training is just always good to do. So might as well push in this now, I think, versus Dragon. And I know it's boring content because it's pretty much living in campaign. You're also going to have an influx of chickens as well as champions that might be interesting to train when you pull some shards soon too. So I think that's going to help you certainly push that champion training much better. And then finally, champion training is the easiest way to level up your account on actual account level, which means you have a higher energy cap, which means your refills do better.
Isn't it just how much energy you spend? Isn't that how you level up your account? Or is you get
it is
no
experience
really? Okay.
you get. It is experience you get. Every time you're an experience, you also get account experience. Every time you do a challenge or something like that, not challenge, but some of the early daily quests give you account experience as well.
That's good to know.
So campaign is the best way to push your account level forward.
But yeah, we can do that. I mean, my goal with the Dragon tournament was to see if I was going to be competitive. Looks like I'll be fine, but it's not going to be anything special. Those guys are kind of going crazy. And I just wanted that epic skill tome at like 1800 or whatever it was. What else? Any final thoughts or anything else you want to check in on?
No, I think that's good. We've looked at Arena. We've looked at Faction Wars. I'm not worried about your dungeon progression because honestly, your dungeon progression is just going to progress as you build 6 stars and as you get better gear for them. And the fact that you can get perception gear from Faction Wars is really going to help turbocharge your account quite a bit. So
maybe the way we can end, appreciate all the nuggets we've gotten, but maybe we like consolidate that into a plan. Because I think a lot of people, especially that came over with me and used my link, by the way, use my link in the description. That's where you're going to get all these crazy heroes that I didn't have to pull for. You saw I haven't done any sacreds, and I've only accidentally pulled 10 ancients. And somehow we have Corrado, we have Uugo, we have Tagoar, we have Rector Drath. That is from the link. You get all 4 of those by level 30, level 0, level 10, level 20, level 30. Pretty crazy. For people that start around the same time or people watching this in the future, maybe it would help if we kind of set out a plan of action. So you're saying we're just we'll do these cheeky little summons once we wrap up this video. I'm sure people will look forward to that in a separate video. But maybe my plan was to 60 Tagoar next for sure.
Yeah, I think Tagoar is a pretty solid option for the third one because that gives you a bunch of extra HP for his heals, which are based off of his max HP as his shields are as well. So I think that gives you a lot of extra survivability on the floors. So he's a good third.
I guess he would be 4th because we're about to pull Geomancer though.
Oh yeah, that's true. So you pull Geomancer, obviously he becomes an easier one, but but that'll be helpful. Yeah, I mean, again, 50% more HP from 5 to 6. It's just, it's so much additional power.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then it kind of depends. Maybe if you're using Corrado all over the place, Corrado might be the next one for a nuker, or maybe the Monkey King might be the next one to invest in. One of those two, and then maybe Frozen Banshee, or maybe Uugo, or again, maybe the Geomancer you're going to pull. Or something along those lines.
And you think that's so we were like the next goal is 1 more 6-star, 2 more 6 stars, 3 more. Like, are we all focused there or
I would go all in on a team of 5 to 6 6-stars as the core of your team on almost every dungeon.
Which is actually a nice transition. The video I have coming out today, this video will be after, but you guys can go back. It will already be there. I did show like that this team right here, and I show all the settings on team setup and everything, can very comfy, even in this terrible gear, beat 13 plus on Ice Golem and Dragon. So very reusable heroes. I also want to mention just really fast, I got Frozen Banshee from a mystery shard. It's really account changing that happened. So that's the only rare I've gotten from a mystery shard. So that worked out pretty great. I appreciate this so much. So I guess we just really got to get down in that campaign and have a lot of not fun, but that's life, isn't it?
I mean, it's the early grind is very much a set up my account so I don't have to do the grind later, and otherwise you're constantly grinding for things inefficiently. So get those 6 stars up, and then you can farm higher, which is significantly more efficient.
So we promised you guys an official, honest account rating. Be brutal if you have to, Bront. Be a brutal Bront. What do you say now that you've seen it all? How am I doing? 1 to 10.
I think I'm probably going to give you. Let's go with an 8. I think 8's about right. It's not that you haven't done everything right. I think you've done a lot of stuff right and a lot of stuff effective. As we mentioned, as we were making the plan, I think you really needed to focus just a little bit more on getting the 6 stars a little faster than farming the dungeons, because you were chasing gear when you could have been chasing champions that would make that gear farming a lot easier. But overall, you've done a great job, and it's an 8 is still great. And
and it rhymes.
I didn't mean to, but but it is all about focus, and you've been trying to focus on the right things. And I don't think you've been focusing poorly. I think you could have focused slightly better.
Yeah, I guess I was pulling for a 7, so I'll take that. If I probably would give myself a 6.5 or a 7 if I'm being honest, because like I definitely for like 3 days I forgot advanced quests were even here. I just didn't remember that being part of the game, and I didn't pay attention to it. And then there's a couple times you're 100% right. I could have just there's a couple times I did it where I took an uncommon and just threw random gear and beat the first stage, but I should have done that every time, and that was a mistake.
If that's the case, then maybe we should knock some points off and give you a 6.9.
Hell yeah. Do you think you're going to win this challenge, this whole thing?
At this point in time, I'm going for it, and some of the champions I have pulled, I've got a good chance now, actually. I went from thinking I was doing well with okay-ish champions to so insane epics that it was just not funny. I mean, I grabbed a Taragi for clan boss to solve that for me. I grabbed a Rector Drath. I didn't have one beforehand. Got a couple of bigger damage epics to be able to build a couple more arena nukers if I need to, as well as some faction war wave clears and just some pretty okay stuff. So it's I'm very, very happy with that.
Phenomenal. Well, I'm rooting for you. Is there a prize? How does it work with the LEDs challenge? Is there a grand prize or?
I don't think there's a prize specifically for winning or losing. They are doing giveaways based off of that. So I usually have a link to it on my channel. So you can certainly check out the link in my video to it, or you just go to Hell Hades and look at the free-to-play stuff. I think anyone who isn't even participating can enter in some of the giveaways for stuff. They're giving away merch. I think they're giving away some Fateless stuff. So you can actually get into like the Godforge beta through that, possibly other fun stuff like that. So.
All right. Cool, man. Well, keep up the awesome work. It's been great having you as a friend these past few weeks, and even before I decided to come back and sign my contract and all that stuff. So thank you so much. We got a video to film on your channel, so go check that out, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Bront, share it with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.